Hey guys, me Steve, you see. Right, I thought I might do some little ghost stories, real true ghost stories of things that have happened to me in the past um, regarding the town Mitcham. All these have been based in Mitcham, from Mitcham Common to temporary accommodation, Hall Place, um, a folly, which was only a very short visitation, the Georgian house, and even some stories here in my flat. Now, the story I'm going to tell you about today is, well, I'll probably do a couple today, actually, maybe. But the one I'm going to tell you about is the Georgian house. The Georgian house is run by a friend of mine, by Warwick. I met Warwick over Mitcham Common many years ago. He was like a guy who used to do fishing. He used to stay out sometimes at night and hunt rabbits, and also hang around and do barbecues at night time with some of the guys that were fishing at the time. I got to know the guy, and I later found out that he actually lived in a Georgian house, and I asked him what one it was, and he told me it was the one opposite Hall Place. There is going to be a story about Hall Place later as well, because Hall Place is a temporary accommodation where I was in, and it's haunted. So when Warwick told us about the Georgian house, I was always intrigued in any stories he could tell me, and if I'd ever be able to possibly get in there to do like an investigation with someone. Now, he told me about a story that him and his mum had seen a little girl on the first floor of the building, and it was always sitting crying on the stairwell. Now, his mum saw it first, yeah, but kept quiet for about a year or so. Then one day, Warwick saw this little girl, and it kind of freaked him out a little bit, yeah. And he spoke to his mum about it. She said, "Yeah, I've seen a little girl several times." And when he told me that, I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy, man! I'd love to get in there." And I asked him if I could do like an investigation at some time. And he said, "Oh, I'll have to ask my parents, because they're a bit funny about, this kind of stuff. They might not want you in there, they might think it might conjure up something, darker and make things worse." But, after Warwick has seen it, this little girl, it kind of the activity kind of quietened down a little bit. But he still stated that, he could hear noises, knocks, bangs, taps, and stuff like that. So anyway, he eventually did ask his parents, and they said, yeah. So, great, got permission. So me and my nephew, Aaron, was able to go and do one side of the actual Georgian house. To do, both parts would have took 2 or 3 nights to do at least. But we only got permission to do one side because it was being renovated. And now you know what things happen when a place has been renovated over a lengthy amount of time. Well, his parents at the time went and stayed in the other part of the house, while me, Aaron, and Warwick was in the other side. Now, this is opposite Hall Place, which is a haunted location as well, Hall Place, which I'll be doing a story of later. We set all the equipment out. I found out what parts, we would probably be more comfortable in putting our cameras, our devices. We even got a doll and put on the stairwell where this so-called little girl had been seen sitting. We even put like a REM pod there. And I think we put a EM pump up on the actual windowsill with like another device. And we started off in the kitchen, the pantry down at the bottom, ground floor. And as you go into the kitchen, there is like a little hallway going to the back door. And, you know, that little hallway is very, very dark. And I mean, bloody dark. But we did put a couple of things out there. And I actually had a camera with me. And I was sitting there. Where the table is in the kitchen, where I sat, you could actually keep an eye out what's going on in the hallway. And we're sitting there, you know, having a drink. While it was having a smoke. And he's just telling us a little bit about the history of the house. And telling us a little bit about, you know, the experiences they've had. And I believe at the time he might have told us about a tunnel that actually goes underneath the house. And the tunnel was used way back in time for like the owners used to like use the tunnels to go and walk down to their local inn, their pub. Because if they went out, you know, in them days, you know, a lot of people would have been robbed, you know, Victorian times. So these people would use the tunnel to go under the roadways and get to the pub. And there'd be like a hatch where they could come up into the pub and they'd just like had their drinks, cigarettes or whatever, you know, spend time in pub, whatever you want to call it. And when they're ready to go back down through the tunnels and back to the home. Now, I'd like to have seen that, but there's apparently the entrance to the tunnel was like blocked up with a load of like debris, so we couldn't see it. But I'd love to have seen it. We could have done, but we couldn't. So we're sitting there in the kitchen talking, and at the corner of my eye, I'm sure I saw like a shadow moving around. You know, I put a device on there, and I asked it to set off the device, and it wasn't suddenly off or nothing like that. But you could see shadow movement, and I kept saying, like, you know, I'm definitely seeing shadow movement there. And I sometimes even got up and walked into this hallway, pitch black, with a camera, trying to like see if we could get any orb activity or something. But we won't get much. So after a little while, we decided to go upstairs, first floor. And you've got the ground floor, first floor, then you've got another floor. So we went up to the first floor into the living room. Now, as we were going up, we checked the equipment, making sure the REM pod was on, making sure that the toy was next to the REM pod. And we went into the living room and was talking, asking spirits to do things. It's kind of quiet, you know, for a while. But suddenly, like, the REM pod started going off. And as my cousin, well, my nephew, got up to check what it was, you know, because he had to go out the door onto the stairwell and look down where the actual REM pod was. Now, we did have a camera facing there, but the camera didn't really pick up much apart from the REM pod going off. But as the REM pod went off, my nephew got up, and as he went to look, the REM pod suddenly stopped. And it wouldn't go off again. So I said, oh, you'd probably disturbed the spirit child, you know. Maybe she won't come back. But was we wrong? Later on, we asked, you know, because like, we could hear movement out in the hallway on the actual stairwell. You could actually hear footsteps and like the wood creaking. And the only people in there, in that home, that part of the house at the time, was me, Warwick, and Aaron. And we was all in the living room. And we could all hear this. And, you know, we could all hear it. And Warwick goes, yeah, look, this is what happens, you know, quite a lot. You know, we do hear the kind of stuff. So he wasn't surprised about it. And then we asked, like, you know, if you could set the REM pod off again. And within about a minute or two, the REM pod started going off. Then again, Aaron gets up to check it, and then it stops. So every time Aaron gets up to check what's might be out there, it stopped. So I think, you know, I think he was trying to see if he could see like the child spirit, just like Warwick and his mum had seen in the past. Now, when we was in there, I said, well, thank you for setting off the devices, we really do appreciate it. Now, if there is anyone in this section of the house, if you want to come forward and communicate with us, we've got some devices on my table. I had a K2 there which did flicker a few times. And I said, if you want to come and touch one of us, feel free to, just don't harm us, don't scare us too badly, because we don't want that. We're just here to learn and communicate with you. And, I've been asking questions to these spirits, asking them to do things. And within a few minutes, I actually felt like someone putting a hand on my shoulder like that. It physically went like that. And I turned around, looked at my nephew, and he goes, what? I said, did you just touch me? He goes, no. I said, did you just put your hand on my shoulder? He goes, no. Even if he had it done, I would have heard him getting up off the chair, because where I was sitting, I'm sitting here, there's a chair beside me where Aaron was, and that must have been about 4 or 5 feet away. So if he had got up, I would have heard him getting up off the chair. Plus, I would have heard him make a footstep. And I didn't hear none of that. One was in front of me, and we was all just talking, kind of thing. And I physically felt like a hand touched my shoulder. And yeah, it startled me at first, but, when Aaron said, no, it weren't me. Okay, thanks very much for whoever touched me, it shows that you are here and that you're a gentle spirit and you're not here to harm us, and, we just want to say thank you very much. And, we just sat there for a little while, and Warwick said about going up into his room. So we went upstairs into his room, and there's a little cupboard. And he goes, that ain't no normal cupboard. So I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, that cupboard is like a tunnel. Got like a little tunnel system in the walls. And what happened in the olden days, sometimes the servants used to pass messages on to each other. They used to use these little cubbyhole tunnels, kind of thing, to pass messages on, so they wouldn't get caught. Now, we didn't put a camera in there, I don't think, but it's a shame, because I think that there might have been something in there, but we never thought about putting a camera in there. But we did have a camera out on the main hallway, and where Warwick's bedroom is, next door is his dad's office. To the left, to the right is just a little room full of stuff. Then opposite, you've got a bathroom, and then you've got a little storage unit as well, like a storage cabinet, and above is the actual attic. Now, I put my camera up to see if we get anything, but we didn't get nothing in the camera in the attic. But the camera in the hallway, which was pointing towards his dad's office and Warwick's bedroom door, we caught quite a lot of movement on the door, being moved around quite a lot. There's even a time when the door, because it's an old door, it's got a lift latch, and the door was swaying around quite a bit, and suddenly the door kind of latched. You could hear the latch itself. Now, if that door was latched properly like it should have been, that wouldn't have moved, that wouldn't have opened, but you could hear the actual latch lifting up again, and the door starts swinging again. So I believe that his dad's office was quite, active, because even Warwick said, he's seen some dark figures in there, and it's sometimes hear things being moved about, and there's no one in there. Now, while it was going on, we was in Warwick's room, and Warwick just kind of said, we've got past that, just let yourself out, because he'd been smoking a little bit of weed, and he'd been drinking quite a lot of beer, and he did actually crash out. So we thought, well, what shall we do? Shall we pack up and go now, or shall we just stay a little bit longer? But we decided to stay a little bit longer, about another half hour. And then we weren't really feeling much after that. We didn't sense nothing around. None of the devices were going off. So we decided to pack up around about 4 or 5 o'clock time, I think it was. And we got all our equipment, packed it all up, went and tried to wake Warwick up and said we're going, but he was out for the count, you know. We left. Now, Warwick's home has got a lot of old stuff, you know, really antique kind of stuff in there. Some of them hundreds of years old, you know, kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of that was somehow has some kind of like spiritual attachments to them. Now, on review of the actual investigation, because we had to put the investigation up to several different files, because I was using my cameras, Aaron was using his camera, and it's like camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, blah blah blah. And we did catch some amazing things on there. You know, we caught some, I believe we caught some all activity. You can hear me saying about, you know, being touched on the shoulder. You can hear the devices going off. I think you could actually see Aaron getting up, trying to find out if there was anything in the hallway that was actually activating the devices. And even the camera upstairs was picking up the office doorway, you know, kept like opening and shutting by itself. And as I say, there was only us three in there. So whatever that was it spiritual? I definitely believe it's spiritual. I believe this house is definitely haunted, because whatever touched my shoulder was kind of freaky. But it wasn't like, you know, one of the things where you go like that kind of thing. It's just like a gentle, you know, tap on shoulder, like, you know, I'm thinking, whoa. And when I asked if it was Aaron, he said no. I then knew that, yeah, but whatever is there is not like evil and demonic. Whatever is there is like friendly, it's not harmful. And, you know, I actually did feel that there was more than one spirit there. You know, I thought that there must have been several spirits there. I think we may have even heard like a child giggle. You know, I'm not mistakenly wrong, but I think we heard the child giggle. When that was, I can't remember, but if you do a YouTube search on my channel, Georgian house, you'll find it. You know, there's like several videos there, and you know, it was an all-night session, so each video would probably be 2-3 hours long or something, you know, and it's just a crazy night, you know. And I did ask him if we could ever come back and do the other side of the house, and he said, well, I'd ask my mum. And he said, like, before he suddenly went missing, he did say to me, I've asked her, but she said, no, not at this time, but she'll think about it. And I did give him the actual video evidence that we got throughout the whole session on DVD. Plus, I gave him a toy for him to stick on the windowsill on that first floor stairwell as a token for the little girl, because I definitely felt like, yeah, there's definitely a child spirit there, but we didn't see her. Shame. But, you know, I did feel that there was a child spirit there because, you know, we heard the giggle and we could hear movement on the stairwell where apparently it had been seen. So, yeah, his house is definitely haunted. I don't care what anyone says. And we're the only ever people that ever got to go in there to do an investigation. And all it cost us was several cans of beer, and that was it, you know. He was happy with beers as a payment. I lost contact with Warwick, actually. He used to, like, travel around and learn cooking and go into, like, hotels and places, you know, and cook for hotels. And apparently the last time I heard that he had gone over to Spain or somewhere, and he was, like, learning to be a chef in a Spanish hotel. I don't think anyone's seen him for the last couple of years, actually. But it'd be nice to see him again if any time, you know, because then hopefully I might be able to try to get permission to do the other part of the house. because as you know, renovations do tend to wake up spirits, and yeah, it'd be nice to do that. But again, as I say, I didn't feel that there was anything negative in there. You know, although we heard things and saw things, and I don't think there's anything negative in there. No. If there was, then it was hiding from us. So anyway, that's the Georgian house. I'm going to do a little stream shortly regarding Mitcham Common, and check out that, because we've done a lot on Mitcham Common, a lot. Not just me, but me, Aaron, Simon James, even Steve Cooper came down and done a little walk through the common, and yeah, I think we all caught something. I know Steve Cooper said he felt something or saw something, but it was only like a 10-minute walk through with Steve Cooper. But me and Aaron's done several investigations over there. Simon James did like a couple of investigations over there with me, and yeah, every time we've caught something. So the next stream is going to be Mitcham Common. So keep an eye on that one. That'll be probably later on tonight. Yeah, check out the Georgian house videos, because sometimes that when you're doing investigation, we tend to miss things even on video. And I'm going to do a lot more like ghost stories as well, actually real life ghost stories on things that we've actually done and caught in the past. So keep an eye on that. It's not just going to be Mitcham, it's going to be Bexley as well, and Puckley Village, and a few other little locations we've been to. So check them out, and I'll catch you later.